name's Axel, and I'm here with Dougie fresh in the flesh, as he says. So, Dougie, first question for you. Who are you?
Oh man, well I'm honored to be here today, Axel. Thanks so much. And I am the simplest way to say it, what we all are. I'm a being of infinite potential, dynamic and changing. I am a grounded, focused, committed man on a mission to help inspire others to, you know, I really bought into Elliott Hulse's vision, become the strongest version of himself. So I still live true to that today. So that's what I'm committed to creating in the world, and a win-win world that we can co-create. And I am a man on a mission to make that happen.
Would you say you always been like that, or was there a point where
Mm-mm.
you were like, you flipped the stone and you changed?
Yeah, so that intention, was seated in me, and I felt that in a moment when I just made the decision I want to get better. There's a knowledge gap. I need to fill it. I hit a low where I just said enough's enough. I had it. No more, time to change. When the crap hit the fan, I just made a decision. I think some people have that dark night of the soul and come to that realization. So that's when it begun, and it just always kept evolving. So now I'm on a mission to help people. I help people with their mindset. I help people with their health. Now I'm going to be a mentor in an area I never had it, and help people with their money. Because I had a tons of great mentors and guides that taught me how to make money, but nobody taught me how it works. So that's what I'm focused on now. But yeah, it was probably 2012, October 4th in college. I had a experience where I just made a decision, time to get better.
Could you paint a picture of
Yeah.
like understanding how it was before, prior to that? Like, so understand the perspective from where you are coming from and where you are right now.
Yeah, so where I was coming from, I mean, I was the youngest of three, outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the U.S., right outside of King of Prussia. And I, was a three-sport athlete. I was competitive. I was pretty positive. I've heard feedback, looking back, like, oh, so I had some things that worked, some things that didn't, and maybe laziness or a little extra too much over the top. I couldn't be vulnerable to say some of these things, so I've really matured. I've been working really hard on myself to in the focused out on the service of others. But I was just, I think, selfish young guy. And when I was 19 on that night, October 4th, I was going to a homecoming concert at college near Pittsburgh at IUP. And I had gotten the week before, I was partying, drinking, I got Molly, and I thought, oh, let me try something special for this homecoming concert. It was Tyga and B.O.B., some rappers. So I tried to sneak it in, and I forgot it. I forgot my ticket, warning sign number 1. So I had to go back to my place I was at in college and walk down to the complex center where the kind of like the stadium where the event was. And then, it was a cold night. The girls were looking good, and the line was mobilizing, and then the cop yelled, "If you have any drugs in you, get rid of them now, or you will be arrested." And there was a space between stimulus and response. And I said, I'm fine. Nothing will happen to me. I'm Dougie Fresh. That was my ego talking, right? But Stephen Covey in that book, 7 Habits, talks about space between the stimulus and response. So I chose that I'll entitlement or whatever it was. I'm too good, or nothing will happen, or I can get away with it. Where else do I do things like that in my life, right? So I made a commitment to do Andy Frisella's 75 Hard, which is like a little, challenge. But like I noticed I'd always want to rearrange things or do it my way. And like, where else do I do that? So that's been a theme that doesn't work. So I went in there, they found it, they caught it. They're like, they found it in my, wallet in the inside secret compartment. They said, "What's this?" Jaw dropped, grabbed my wallet, ran, cut the corner, ran again. The cop said, "Stop." Finally made a smart decision and stopped. And then, imagine for me, I was experiencing sadness, fear, guilt, shame. Like, I felt awful, down, low, so scared of what my dad would think, and all these teachers that poured into me and coaches I had. So I just felt like I was pissing away all the potential in me, and I thought my life was over. So I don't know if anyone's been there before, but I saw girls crying. Who else got caught? Someone else got caught, and guy having a temper tantrum. And I'm like, man, how did I get here? And and I had my roommate pick me up and went home that night and could not sleep at all. 4 a.m. I'm laying in bed, talked to my brother, sister, it felt bad. And talked to my I guess girlfriend at the time, and I just had to take responsibility, and I just flipped up at like 4 a.m. and I just said, all right, enough's enough. I had it. And I made that decision, and I flipped open the laptop and I typed in, I thought of somebody, the Eagles quarterback at the time, Eagles football, Michael Vick. And Michael Vick had gotten publicly shamed for dog fighting. And he went to prison for like 19 months. And it was really hard for him, but he had bounced back, very resilient and brilliant in what he was doing for people, the way he had become an inspiration for someone with a second chance. And I felt like, wow, I could have that second chance. I didn't hurt anybody else. I just made a decision that costed me. And I had to source $5,000 for a lawyer and all this stuff. So I just said, you know what, if I can read this book, if I can learn and create contrast, it's really not that bad. And start to work on myself. And I won 5Ks, and I started running. I started listening to audiobooks, reading. I read Tony Robbins' Awaken the Giant Within, changed my life. And I found, Elliott Hulse and watched his videos religiously, daily. And I really took action on what he said. So that put me on a positive path. Got a 4.0, became president of my exercise science kinesiology club. And it just spiraled upwards. So that was a spark. That was a tinder that made me work hard on myself and just be abnormal. So I started to create abnormal results.
I want to ask you this. Were there any points where you felt like you may slip off and do a mistake again? Like, I don't know, try drugs again, or I don't know, something unnecessarily bad.
Nah.
Something. Did you ever felt like the urge of, maybe I need to step off this good track that I am on? Were there any points like that?
Great question. I would like maybe drink wine or something, but that just wasn't who I am. I just remolded my identity. I think it was Carl Jung says people will act inconsistent with their identity that they see themselves as. So I'm just not that kind of person, right? Like to smoke a cigarette or to do drugs. So I really just made a shift in my mind that this is unacceptable. This will not, I'm not going to, I would go out still, but I just wouldn't buy alcohol out. Like, what a waste of money. I'd rather invest that into my mind. I'd rather invest that into my body positively, or drugs. I would never do that. So yeah, it just never came up. Just cut off. Decision is incision. Comes from that Latin word. So I just cut off any other possibility. And that was tested in other ways, distraction, laziness, probably pornography, at that point, but nothing like that would stop me from being the strongest version of myself, like drugs, like something that catastrophic. Is just no way I would let that hold me back from being the strongest version, because I felt the pain, I felt the suffering, where I just made that choice, no more. And if someone's watching this now, be in that position where you're like, no more, never again, not happening, this isn't who I am. And that was a breakthrough.
You mentioned your mentors that you have had. Can you name some of them? I understand some of them haven't been like face to face for you because you just read their materials, books, maybe watch some videos from I don't know, some lectures or something like that. But you named Elliott, but name a few other perhaps your mentors that you have had in your path.
Sure. And by the way, with that last piece is like that was the payoff and prices to our decisions. So I was willing to focus on the payoff. That's how I did. That's how I don't think I know the cost that will have, and this is out of integrity and alignment with who I am. So I think that'll support someone that wants to not be in that path of that world, because it takes you down, all the way down, and it just doesn't work for people. So for me, being around others also supported me with that, right? So I was around Elliott Hulse. I met Tony Robbins' son, Jarek Robbins. Just came walking in the door, and I became friends with him. There's a gentleman, Neil, who was very successful financially. I connected with him. I met Tai Lopez at the non-job Elliott Hulse event. So I introduced Derek Robbins to Tai Lopez, and I got a chance to work with Tai Lopez's personal trainer, Mark Dama. And I had threw my hat over the fence and spent all the money I had on a flight, sourced money on GoFundMe, created that at a, to go for my dreams. And I lived in this $35,000 Hollywood Hills a month mansion, right? Where I learned success isn't magical, mysterious, or mundane. It's humble, hardworking people. And in that beehive of leaders, I was able, in a lot of different industries, I was able to be around really awesome mentors like, Big Mike is a guy, he's the number one cannabis fertilizer in the marijuana world, and which I don't do, but he would he has this cannabis company that made like 80 million a year at the time, way more now. And he was very awesome to be around that guy. And RSD, Real Social Dynamics, is like a dating coaching company. I was around all the instructors for that. Owen Cook, Tyler, RSD Tyler. That was interesting and fascinating being around those people. Kino Body, Greg O'Gallagher, Brandon Carter, a lot of individuals in that world. And then, being out there for 6 months was just great. Larry Benet, lovely, high quality human beings that are up to big things, inspiring individuals that had stories that were really, valuable. So mentorship is key. That's like a big thing of what I did the last 4 years, help other young men find their dream mentors fast, fun, and for free. So that was a great path. I met even a younger guy, Ryan Clarkin. So, and then I went back home to Philly and gravitated towards other mentors. Stephen Rao, who's an author, used to work at Disney. Chris Bolger, one of my first coaches. So really cool people. Lewis Howes. So there's Chris Hawker, founder of Next Level and Trident, inventor. So really, really cool mentors that have changed my life. Yeah, for sure. Mentorship is, there's 7 billion people in the world. There's mentors out there for you.
Right. I want to ask you this. I would kind of spice it up. Imagine this, because for me personally, I'm recording these interviews and I reflect on them, right? I'm reflecting what I've let's say a quote or a lesson or a small bit that I can take from each interview. So, and I'm thinking about writing a post at the end of the year when I will have the resume of all the interviews I've done. So I would ask you actually the same thing, but from your mentors. Could you give me from few names? I wrote down a few of them. You mentioned so many.
So many.
But could you I will name you some names, or you come up with some names that you have had, and just give me a small bit of a lesson
yeah, of course. I love that.
Sentence or something like that. What have you taken from them in a sort of short stint?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's start with Tai Lopez. That's the first one that I wrote down. So can you say something about him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the biggest lessons I got from Tai Lopez was experiment. Ralph Waldo Emerson says, life's an experiment. The more experiments you make, the better. So he would just test things. Like we're in 8th grade on a science fair, right? You have your hypothesis, you have your, experiment. You just go through that scientific method and really test things. So that allowed me to just take the judgment away from what I did, and allowed me to take a lot of action.
Right. Let's bring up Big Mike.
Big Mike. Oh my gosh. I have a great lesson from Big Mike. This one, really shook me up. And man, he has so many, but I mean, just a quick quote that he shared was, knowledge isn't power, right? Applied knowledge is power. Knowledge isn't power, applied knowledge is power. And to go even deeper, my other lesson from Big Mike was, I was going to an Elliott Hulse event in Tampa, so I was flying. And the day before, I said, what's the secret to success, Big Mike? He said, the person who can be naked, vulnerable in front of everybody wins. The person who can be completely naked and, let it hang out and really share the most weaknesses, that person wins. And I was like, wow, okay. A day later, I'm at the end, the Grow Stronger event that Elliott Hulse is running. There's like 400 people there. This guy goes on stage. He's like, Elliott Hulse is like, is there any other questions? And this guy, I have a comment. I have something to do, more like an act. And he went up Colleen Hulse, his wife, was like, no, let's go, let's go. But he went up on stage, and sure enough, he said, Emerson says, do the thing you're afraid of, and the death of fear is certain. You always say Elliott Hulse. So I'm going to do that right now. Guy took off his shirt, took off his pants, took off his underwear, butt naked in front of everyone. That's what we said. And we were just, whoa. And in my mind, I'm like, wow, didn't Big Mike just say to be completely naked in front of everybody? And here it's manifesting in front of my eyes, literally. I did this seminar. And I'm like, okay, stamp that in my brain, unfortunately, right? Because research shows, I guess, the sexual things land in our brain or we remember them better. So I just remember, okay, be vulnerable, let it rip, show who you are. Don't be afraid to express yourself. And what Big Mike said in a positive, right, professional way, of course. So that was my lesson from Big Mike.
Let's bring up next one, Elliott Hulse.
Yeah. So I'm going to do a little Instagram story here as well. Elliott Hulse shared a very great lesson with me, and that's that every moment is sacred. Every moment is holy and special, right? Divine, and you can't get it back. There's never been a moment like this right now, ever. Okay? So, and we won't, and people over there are having a sacred moment. People in the future, we're going to have that moment. It's present. So it makes it a holy moment. It's fresh, it's new. And because that, it's a blessing. So there's gratitude for that, right? So being grateful for each moment is critical and valuing it. So, and that sparked my second book and that concept, stay fresh, stay blessed. That came from being at a country concert, drinking with Elliott Hulse, having a good time, hanging out with my dream mentor. So that's where that opened up from. So stay fresh, stay blessed. Every moment's holy, sacred, and special, and value it and be present with it. That was my biggest lesson from Elliott Hulse.
You're an author right now. So I know we are on a constricted time measures right now. So I want to kind of skip your mentors right now.
Yeah. No, let's do one more. I like this. This is good. We can
one more
keep going.
mentor you want?
Yeah.
Okay, then let's bring what I have wrote down. Let's say let's bring Brendan Carter.
Okay. Just top speed. Just let it rip. Like really go after it. That was my biggest lesson. He's just relentless. He's so intense. He gets up at like 4 a.m. and he works out. And I remember being in Tampa and being at a diner with him. And he's like, I said something like about what other people think. And he's like, Doug, we don't care what other people think around here. And like, we don't, it was like 3 a.m. too. We don't care what other people think around here. And he just doesn't give a flying F what other people think. And I thought I did a good job with it. He's great with that.
Right.
He's so authentic in himself, which I appreciate, and raw.
I want to hear your opinion. Well, how do you think someone can figure out his own passion? Would you say even passion has a reasonable sense to be there, or what's
certainly
what's right?
Certainly, right. I've been a passionate person probably my whole life. Looking back at a 4-year-old video of me pretending to be a Power Ranger or WWE superstar, so passion is important. It's enrolling. It's it's very enticing. So it's a valuable skill set to have, and you could be passionate just by the way in your way of being. It's choice. So you can choose passion. You step into it. Bring the joy, as Brandon Bouchard says. So it's a way of being that we can tap into, but how do you find it based on what you do for work? Is that what you're saying, like purpose, career?
I mean, let me put it this way, because Kobe Bryant said, I'm again quoting Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant said, finding your passion at the early age is very important, and you're lucky if you do that, because it's very hard to find your passion. But sometimes people are just working their job, getting paid, and they don't have passion in that. I would actually add upon that quote that Kobe said, and I would say finding your passion is very important, but finding a way to monetize nowadays, I think it's also very important. So I just want to hear your opinion about passion in that regard.
I like that. I like that you added that, because like you can't add anything onto the legends. Kobe Bryant's quote, he's too great to do, but that actually makes sense. And I've heard people say that you got to do that. Is very important, or else you'll be the starving artist. So you want to find a way to make that work. So the quickest Band-Aid, fastest rip off way to do that is to think in the past what brought you passion and joy. Look back in the past, what opened up, that enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is God flowing through you. That's what that means, entheos. So when did you experience that in the past? And don't be scared to test and throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks, like clay, and play with what you enjoy. So and take action and start something and see and really give it a try, really commit to something. And then you'll find freedom in that commitment if you get good at it and get competent. And then you can actually have discernment if this is something you're passionate about. And then interview other people that are successful. Go around them. I was going to start a gym, and then I was going to do physical therapy. I was going to do a few things. I started interviewing people. I started, experiencing a little bit, and I wanted to pivot, right? I chose to really, like a basketball, like Kobe, pivoting, and I went a different direction. So that is the tool that you can use, is through experiencing, aligning your skills. So self-awareness. What are you good at? What feedback have other people given you that you're good at? What did you enjoy doing at a young age? What makes great money? Research. What industries are very valuable? Maybe in COVID pandemic, what industries are booming right now? What's the trend, and where in there can you catch on? So a combination of these things, and being around other people that do it, and finding the mentors, birds of a feather flock together, being around other people, peers that are creating results. And it can't be daunting. Like, if you don't like technical work and doing a lot of that kind of stuff might not be your favorite part. But if you like people, be around people. If you like, community, create a community. So there's different paths you can take. But I would do a soup, a delicious, nutritious soup of all those pieces of that puzzle and plug it into.
Right now, as we talk, are you satisfied with the position that you are right now?
I'm not satisfied. I don't feel like I'm satisfied. I'm content. I love. I'm complete, but I'm not finished. Like, I can accept where I'm at. I'm happy with what I got while I'm pursuing all I want. I'm very competitive. I'm always going for more. I want to create more. I want to, become a homeowner. I want to invest and save more money. I want to make more money. I want to reach more people. I want to help more people. I want to create more. I want to do more. I want to be in better shape. I want to have each area of my life at 10, and that's not where it's at yet. It's getting better though. I'm making progress, and that's what brings me that true, beyond passion, but enthusiasm for what I want, as Eckhart Tolle talks about in A New Earth. It's enjoyment, accepting where you're at, having, feeling joy for where you're at, but having a goal creates enthusiasm. So yeah, combination of yes and no, because I am not done.
That's what I wanted to get out of you with that
Yeah,
question.
and I think that's a common trend, correlation for a lot of successful people. Hey, you're either green and growing, like all these plants behind me, right? They're green and growing, but if they're not, they're rotten and forgotten. Pat Riley says you're getting better. You're either getting better or you're getting worse. If you're not going up, you're going down. So where are you? If you're watching this, are you going up or are you down? Are you stagnant, stuck like the murky water? Or are you going to be able to, shake it up and get that water flowing in the right direction again towards the purpose of yours?
Would you say that you have right now some goals that you want to achieve and you're striving towards them, like specific goals, or are you just flowing right now?
I definitely have specific goals I'm driving towards right now. Opening up my own office in a brokerage. So developing other leaders. I want to help support other people in becoming, getting their goal. I have a team of people I train. So I'm looking for more people to train and develop. So I think that's the ultimate gift we get to have as leaders. So yeah, I'm very clear. That's my goal. And the other goal would be to, start a family. I'm getting ready. I'm in position. I want to start a really amazing family with amazing girlfriend I have. So those are two great things I'm working on. And then fitness school. Why not put on 15, 20 pounds of muscle and get in the best shape ever? So I think that'll affect everything else. Waking up early and getting into the gym and doing that, start lifting like I'm back at strength camp. So those are 3 different areas, 3 different goals, and tracking it and having people around me And what would life look like then? So and just imagining it and focusing on it.
To accomplish goals, you got to set goals and realize them. How would you suggest someone to how can they do that? How can they do that?
Yeah, first things first. Don't just think it, ink it. So jot the goal down, or write it down. I am, or I'm so happy and grateful now that, speak it into existence, act as if it already happened. Know if it's true for you. Is that what you really want? What's underneath that? What's beneath that? Challenge yourself. Have someone coach you on that goal. And how would you coach yourself if you were hitting that goal? What do you think you could do to make that goal happen? But questions control focus. Those 3 words. Questions control focus. So how can you hit that goal 10 times faster? How can you make it 10 times bigger? Right? Grant Cardone 10x. So use some of these proven tools to accelerate you towards that goal. Right? As I was traveling, learning from these mentors, I'm going on the plane, and there's this not like an escalator. There's like this thing you step on that makes you go faster. Right? So that's what these tools will do. And you got your SMART goals. You got golden goals, I call it in my book, Stay Fresh, Stay Blessed, where you're actually, using this acronym called WHOOP. I got this from Mark Dama. It's from Rethinking Positive Thinking. It's a book, Positive Psychology. What's the wish? What would you like to do? Start with just that today. Don't just think it though, ink it. So jot it down, make it real. What's the outcome? Get really clear on that outcome and the benefits of it. So if this happens, how will that affect? Almost like someone's selling you something, right? A sales call. You got to enroll yourself. You got to sell yourself that this is going to happen, right? So if this happens, how will that affect your family, your finances, X, Y, Z? Obstacle. What could get in your way? What could stop you? What distractions? If this happens, then I'll do this. So if then, to execute over those excuses. If then, plan them out in advance. If X happens, then if the TV's on, then I'll do this. I'll get rid of the TV. I don't have a TV. So little strategies that you could use. And then if you don't do it, what will it cost you? So really getting clear on those payoffs and prices. And then WHOOP, P. P is plan. So that's that if then, that obstacle, what's your plan? And what have other people done? And start doing something now. Take one action today to create momentum and do something every day. I have this jar I use. This jar is awesome. And you can do it with health and fitness. I'm doing it with career. If I bring on a new teammate every day, or if I have a sale, or if I get a new teammate licensed, if I create any kind of productive activity, a measurable, a lag. The lead indicator is really good. Maybe lead indicator. So there's leading indicators to hit your goal, and there's lagging. So cause effect. So that cause might be making a certain number of phone calls. The cause might be making a post on social media. The call may be creating a video. That's the cause to create the activity. The effect is the result. So as long as I do one of those things a day, presenting something, something to someone three times a day, presenting my business, sharing what I'm up to 3 times a day, that I get to put a written goal and dream of mine. Investing, fully funding my Roth IRA, own 3 homes. So that I put that in there. Personal growth events I want to go to. Joe Dispenza, Date with Destiny. So if I hit the goal, I put it in. If I don't, I take it out. And that's very painful. That's physical. It's tangible. So I'm a pretty experiential tactile. It's a way that works because you see it. It's visual. Kids. I don't have kids, but going through the nose to never say no to my kids. So any school, play any sport they want, buy them any instrument they want, travel anywhere. Really great goals that I put this in. So if I don't hit the goal, I got to take this out. You know how painful that is? Not happening. So something like this will rocket fuel you towards your goal. Those are some very practical, powerful tools that if someone were to implement one of those strategies, they'd be better off towards their goal.
What do you think is the biggest achievement for you right now?
Biggest achievement for me that I've created in my life?
Yeah, right now at this point. It's not like you're dying today or it's like the end of your life, but let's say you have to put a resume right now and your biggest achievement.
It's not the fact that I've passed some professional licensing tests. It's not writing an Amazon bestseller, writing a book. It's not going to live my dreams and travel with amazing mentors. I'll tell you what, it's not. You know, it's not. You know, it's amazing turning the invisible visible and having the life we want. But you know what it is? The only thing that matters is not the money we have, not the stuff we accumulate. When we're gone, what's the only thing that exists, Axel?
We air.
What's left? What matters when we leave?
Memories, I would say, maybe.
Yeah, memories of the heart, right? The love in your heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. So if I can make an impact, which I'm grateful that I have made somewhat of an impact, you know, people crying, look in my eyes, thanks for saving my life and giving me a hug, that's rewarding. That's the biggest impact, I feel like. Some of the transformational leadership work I've done and co-facilitated and supported, that felt really good. Yeah, helping people, educating people to take action on, you know, doing certain things like setting up a Roth IRA to save for retirement, or, you know, just completely changing people's lives financially. That feels really rewarding. Seeing people struggle with that and make it simple, and just the light bulb moments, like a teacher loves to have those aha moments, creating that for other people where it actually impacts their life and it creates a ripple effect, a domino effect. That's what matters. That's my biggest accomplishment, is that I was able to do that for a few people, because that's what matters at the end of the day.
I will ask you this. If you had the opportunity to go back in time, teach yourself something or spend some time with yourself, or, you know, just go back and relive a point in your life, at what point would you go and what would you do?
Hmm. What would I do? Wow. What would I do? I mean,
And to which point in your life you would go back if you had the opportunity? If you had to choose from, to what point?
I think there's something magical about family and being with my grandparents, and that's the first thing that came up, or just being when I was little with my brothers and sisters and playing in the garden growing up. Yeah, it's special times. And the experience I said earlier, right, that painful moment, if I could have had that earlier, if I could have woken up sooner,
But
that
in
would have been,
a way, you would say?
but I wouldn't change anything. Everything's perfect. But I mean, sure, if I could learn another language, I could be able to influence more people. If I could have learned an instrument skill. So those are things I can implement with my children, that if I have children, you know, things like that. But yeah, I mean, just to relive for the sake of the joy, man, I think living at Strength Camp was very special, and I really relished in that. That was so fun. That was such a great period in my life where I was fresh out of college and just learning, and just the curiosity and awestruck wonderment, and just going for something so far reaching that I was silly. I thought it was possible that I could do this. I actually was around all these people creating videos. It was so great. It was just so exciting. I felt special. I felt cared about, valued. And that environment was so empowering, where I was putting on 25, 30 pounds of muscle, lifting a stone I couldn't lift, being around the bros. That was a good time. And then it got equally amazing when I lived out in that place in LA, in Runyon Canyon, Hollywood Hills, being around so many great people and becoming great friends with the chef, where he cooked me a free breakfast every morning. That was awesome. It was just a good time because I was growing and I was contributing. So Tony Robbins says those two things are the spiritual needs of the soul, and those human needs were being fulfilled, and they're being fulfilled now. It's just a way. I can't see life being any other way, or I'm rotten and forgotten. So that was some really high highs for sure.
If you had no limits and you would be able to ask a question to someone, what would be the question? No limits. Someone in the past who already has passed away, or in the future perhaps to someone. One question to someone, and who would it be, and what would be the question?
You had mentioned Kobe Bryant. That would be really cool to, dissect his mindset. I mean, there's so many books on it. There's relentless, competitiveness, but like just about his drive. I mean, he's from where my dad grew up, and some of my mentors in Lower Merion. So just what did it take for him? That excellence. I remember someone asked Big Mike, this 19-year-old, is it worth it, success? And Big Mike started to cry, like, yeah, it's worth it because the people I impact. And I was like, whoa, so what does it take to be that level? Andre 3000 from Outkast is one of my favorite rappers. What's your creative process? When you were in the thick of creating, what are you tapping into? What tools, what habits did you create? So I just want to get to the nitty gritty, and because I think the themes are there, the mindsets are there, but what is like the 1% to 2% push you can make to get even better? So I'd want to know that, and I'd want to know where I'm at right now, which is like, how can I become a better leader? How can I transfer, duplicate, and replicate what I know to others so I can develop others? So people that are really good at that, what did they do? The John Woodens, the Vince Lombardis, so that's that leadership. And I could focus on authors and, the greats of the past and religious leaders, probably Jesus. I mean, I would love to see, how did you transform lives? How did you heal people? What are you tapping into, man? How did you get all these people to follow you? I would want to probably, that's what I would say. That would be my final answer.
All right. I have the final question for you in this interview for you. Name me your greatest teacher. It could be a person, it could be an experience. Name it. Your greatest teacher.
Well, I expressed the one experience that, the challenges I've had. My greatest teacher. I mean, our parents are some of our greatest teachers on what to do and what not to do. So I would say mom, dad. And even above that, our ego. Ego is edging God out. That's what that could stand for, right? Edging the goodness out. So if my ego and I make a mistake of like, how am I showing up? Or how did I make that about me? Or how did, what did I want? Because again, it was about me, like how I would say ego's our greatest teacher, because then we could identify it, realize it, look at it, notice it, just notice, see it coming through the back door, become a better listener, seek first to understand. How did I not plan? Did I think I was just going to make this happen? Did I think was I entitled here? Where did I lack integrity? Where did I break my word? So the ego is our my greatest teacher, and how that manifests itself to stop me self-sabotage. Those things are kind of things that I think we all experience, because I think I see a ladder there for you on the left, right? So is that ladder of success leaning up against the right wall? And if we get up there, how are we going to pull other people up? Or are we just going to race up there as painfully, as slowly as possible, because our ego is like a crab in the bucket pulling us down from our Mount Olympus, our mountain that we want to achieve? And okay, why is that ego stopping? Why does that keep coming up? Okay, so if I can learn how I get in my own way, I'm unstoppable. I can go further, faster, with less stress and more success. If I can uncover and continually rediscover again, okay, this is what doesn't work. This is my nerd, my never-ending relentless distraction that my ego manifests itself. Got it. Learned. not going to happen again. True wisdom is being able to change the action.
One last thing, two more things, but I will combine
Sure.
them. Perhaps you're not ready for one of them. So one is a question for me, and if you do not have a question for me, then inspiring good last like words for.
I got a question for you. Sure.
Yeah. All right. Let's go.
Oh, you ready for it?
Yeah. Let's go.
Yeah. What was you seem like a great, I respect you, man. I see that you've been on the path of becoming the greatest version of yourself, and you're all about growing and learning. So we both shared mutual strength camp love together, and just how that supported us and getting strong physically and mentally. So what was your biggest lesson from strength camp or Elliott Hulse, or watching those videos when you were sitting there watching it on the screen, and or both experiencing going down there, talking to them, and working out there? What opened up for you?
I think the biggest lesson, I would say, it's hard to put out because like there's so many things, and in a way it's a bit different from yours, because like I was closer to Chris Barnard
Chris Barnard. Yeah, I love Chris.
and Elliott, but holistically it has to come from that side. So what I learned was that if you put in a certain amount of work, and if you study the craft like Chris does, because Chris never stops. He always improves his coaching, always tries to find new ways. Okay, I'm a master at this. Now I will try some new things. Oh, there's something new that I haven't tried. And like always looks upon himself, like what can I improve upon as a coach? And tries to understand new crafts that like improve the athletes. And always like I know him like now for close to 6 years, and there's been always, from year to year, there's always something new that he improves. And he never forgets his own old craft. He stays to basics, but always there's something new. When I talk to Chris or when he coaches me, there's always something new. So that's the biggest lesson. If you keep evolving and also try to improve yourself, and you will get better. That's the biggest lesson, I would say.
I appreciate that. I love that.
Work ethic. And that's not like I didn't have any work ethic before. Like just being in contact with someone like that, I mean, that's the greatest experience, I would say, in lesson. Yeah.
That's very valuable.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. I know you're time constricted. We're all a bit over the limit already. So one last wish is for everyone. Words of encouragement, give it to me. For everybody.
Sure. Absolutely. So got you here won't get you there. What's your next level look like? What are you going to use during this time, to take care of yourself, to develop yourself, and to accept yourself? And what is it that you love about yourself, right? Make a list of all the things that work, all the gifts and blessings in you, and, focus on that. Build confidence that way. Have that strong foundation by really thinking about all your accomplishments. Like when you ask me my accomplishment, what's one of your biggest accomplishments? And go through and focus on that. And then like, what's the one area you can get better at? For me, I felt like I had my health. I was in a relationship. So how can I really build and accumulate a wealth? Person who has more can give more. So become financially educated. Be like the top, percent of people. And money's not everything, but it's up there. It's pretty important. So that's what I've been studying on lately. That's what I've been learning about the securities industry, and the stock market America has is a great thing we have here. So, how could we really gain more wisdom so that we can help more people? And do you have the vehicle to do that? Are you creating something? Are you going to have ownership, right? Value ownership, where you can build something where you could have equity, pass it down to your kids, sell it for 10 times its worth, really develop something where you could maximize your imprint. Everyone's going to have, you could smile and make an impact in someone's life. But if you could truly stretch yourself to continually level up, what does that look like for you? So that's what it's kind of looking like for me. That's what's on my mind. And what's on my heart, again, is, I would double down on this quote. The love in your heart wasn't put there to stay. Love isn't love until you give it away. So go ahead, focus on what you're grateful for, and and constantly learn and grow and listen and do things like, I love that you're interviewing and be, be a study, but then achieve something great yourself. I test and challenge you to go out there. And Napoleon Hill's awesome, right? Napoleon Hill interviewed everybody, all the successful people. But what did Napoleon do? He was an interviewer. What are you going to do to push the boundaries to be great? So I challenge you to find something you can truly be great at and serve others with. So what's that for you? And let's go win. Stay fresh, stay blessed.
All right. Thank you for those encouraging words.
Certainly.
Yeah, and man, I actually wish you all the best. You have now dreams of creating a family, having kids. Wish you success in that. Happiness with that. That's true happiness. That it's unique. And I wish you all the best, man. Thank you for agreeing with me to do this interview. And see you when I see you. They say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You got it.
Okay.
Stay healthy, stay at peace, and keep loving and learning and growing and giving.
Thank you for watching this interview with Dougie. I love the energy that Dougie has, and I hope you love the energy too. This time we had an inside story from Dougie himself, and I hope you enjoyed it, and it was an interesting story for you to hear. But also, if you would like to hear other people's story also from Strength Camp, but not only from Strength Camp, just click on the list that I have prepared for you on the screen right now. And there are 2 interviews that YouTube has suggested for you. So click on those 2, and I wish you all the best and see you in other videos.